Single dad janitor's touching dance request for disabled girl surprises billionaire mom reveal. Jake stood in the dimly lit hall of Maple Grove Elementary, mop in hand, the rhythm of his life defined by the swish of bristles against worn linoleum. The scent of disinfectant was oddly comforting, like the embrace of routine. Each night he wiped away the remnants of laughter and learning, content in knowing his daughter, Mia, would be safe in these walls. But beneath the mundane surface lay an undercurrent of insecurity. As a janitor and a single dad to a daughter with cerebral palsy, Jake climbed each day's challenges with resolve, but with the upcoming school talent show looming like an impending storm, unease threatened to pull him under. Mia, only 10, was bursting with dreams. Her face lit up with the idea of dancing with her classmates, her voice a melody of excitement that sliced through his anxieties. Yet her vibrant energy was both a beacon and a weight. Jake had once loved to dance, he could still feel the rhythm pulsing in his veins, but life had forced him to hang up his shoes long ago. Now, as he watched Mia imagine herself twirling, the paradox deepened. She fought for every moment of normalcy while he felt tethered to their financial struggles. He envisioned extravagant costumes, glitzy stage lights, and the polished families who would no doubt steal the spotlight, leaving him to question his worth. Before he knew it, he was spiraling into a whirlpool of self-doubt. What do we have to offer? Glamour? Elegance, he mumbled, wrestling with the image of Mia's hopes against the stark reality of their lives. Would their modest routine ever match up against the effortless luxury of the other kids? Jake closed his eyes, trying to breathe through the pressure, but his heart raced with each crushing thought. In an unexpected twist of fate, he was jolted from his despair by the loneliness echoed in the empty halls. He had a chance to breathe life into Mia's ambition, but could he truly rise to the occasion? The anxiety twisted painfully in his stomach, gnawing at the edges of his resolve. He wrestled with his instincts, each heartbeat louder than the last, urging him to suppress the voices whispering that he could be a better father, brave enough to help Mia shine. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The night before the talent show, he gathered what little courage remained and approached the administration office, teeth clenched in determination. Can I have a spot on stage with Mia?" he stammered, the words wrestling their way out. As he stumbled through his request, he caught a flicker of surprise from Jessica, a reclusive billionaire mother seated nearby. For the briefest of moments, their eyes locked as filled with a mixture of desperation and hope. As he left the office, doubts shadowed him like an ominous cloud. Did he truly believe that their humble performance could be anything more than a fleeting moment in a whirlwind of affluence? Jake held Mia's small hand tighter as he faced the reality ahead, an impending performance that could either uplift them or drown him in despair. Each second ticked closer to the performance, and the specter of shame loomed just outside the spotlight. Would his love be enough to pierce the weight of society's gaze, or was he destined to fail alongside the dream that shone so brightly in Mia's eyes? As anticipation swirled, he felt them both teetering on the brink of transformation, each heartbeat a countdown to their moment of truth. The day of the talent show dawned, a canvas painted in vibrant anticipation and a dull undercurrent of dread for Jake. He walked through the school hall, heart thumping against his chest as students buzzed with energy, preparing their acts. The airy gymnasium was a hive of chatter, glitter, and swirling costumes, a far cry from the shadows of the janitorial closet he operated in every day. Mia's laughter echoed in the distance, and Jake's resolve flickered like the stage lights hungry for their performers. As he stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his slightly wrinkled shirt, he grappled with the reflection staring back at him. Who was he to think he could join the other parents on stage? It felt absurd, but there was no going back now. The choice was made not just for himself, but for Mia, whose eyes sparkled with hopes tinged with anxiety. She had rehearsed tirelessly, each movement stitched into the fabric of her dreams. Her fierce determination became a brutal reminder of his own inertia, forcing him to confront his inadequacies. The gym was beginning to fill up with families and supporters, most of whom were wealthy, polished, and seemingly perfect. Jake spotted seamlessly put-together parents chatting amicably, sharing stories of extravagant lessons, tutors for their children. He took a deep breath. These perceived glories seemed to spotlight his own shortcomings. He fought back the urge to retreat, cycling through thoughts of embarrassment and worthiness. It was in moments like these that he felt the age-old question rising: who did he think he was? Mia suddenly appeared at his side, her wheelchair gleaming under the fluorescent lights. "Dad, are you nervous?" Her whisper was laced with genuine curiosity. Jake knelt beside her to meet her gaze, forced to pause and recalibrate his thoughts. "No," he replied, trying to project confidence, but the tremor of his voice betrayed him. A smile broke on her face, radiating an innocence that rekindled his spirit momentarily. "We can do this, right? Just like we practiced." Her enthusiasm surged around him, pushing against the freezing winds of his self-doubt. "I know. You're amazing, Mia." He looked into her eyes, and for a brief moment, he glimpsed the truth buried beneath his own fears. She had not only practiced your moves but also shared his insecurities while displaying a strength he hadn't found in himself in years. Could his daughter be the catalyst for his growth? As the loudspeakers crackled to life, signaling the show was about to start, a wave of adrenaline pulsed through him. What if he used this moment not just to support Mia but to redefine who he was? He wasn't merely a janitor, he was a father, a protector, and now, a performer. The thought was exhilarating, underscoring a realization he had almost neglected. This talent show could be the crucible where both he and Mia transformed, a shared stage where they could rewrite the narrative of their lives. In the cramped backstage area, anticipation thickened the air. The sound of applause and cheers started to seep through the curtain, a melodic reminder of the world waiting on the other side. When their turn finally came, Jake's palms were slick with sweat, and his pulse hammered in his ears. Holding Mia's hand tighter, he felt the invisible thread connecting them, an unwavering bond. Stepping on stage felt like being dropped into the deep end of a pool he was terrified of, but he forced his feet to move forward. As the spotlight washed over them, he quickly scanned the audience, some familiar faces, some strangers, all an unyielding sea of eyes watching. The music started, and in that moment, Jake closed his eyes, surrendering to the rhythm that had once coursed through his veins. It wasn't just about the dance, it was about showing Mia that they were so much more than their circumstances. As they began to move, he felt a surge of warmth and the unfolding of an unexpected freedom. But in the back of his mind lingered the undeniable truth: was he capable of pushing through this transformative moment, or would the reality of their lives snatch away their fleeting joy? The performance unfurled before him like a whisper of possibility, and with each confident step, he began to discover just how far they could go together. But would they finish this dance, or would the shadows of doubt pull them apart? The energy of the lights blurred at the edges as they began their performance. With the music swelling, Jake took his first step onto the stage, feeling simultaneously exposed and invincible. He could feel Mia's excitement radiating beside him, her vibrant spirit igniting something dormant within him. They moved as one, the choreography a poignant expression of resilience interwoven with love. As they danced, the audience melted away, replaced by the rhythm that anchored him to this moment. Each swirl, each turn created a bubble around them, nurturing their bond against the backdrop of uncertainty. It was no longer about the perfection of their moves but the authenticity of their connection. As their routine unfolded, Jake pushed through the trepidation, discovering a rhythm in the rhythm, a cadence that whispered of potential and hope. Then, as they reached the crescendo of their performance, Jake faltered. A misstep threatened to unravel the momentum they had built. Doubt clawed at his mind, a familiar adversary that had shadowed him throughout his life. The audience held its breath, and for a sliver of time, the world outside this stage ceased to exist. But in that heartbeat of panic, Mia squeezed his hand, grounding him. Her expression was unwavering, focused only on him. It ignited a flame within, pushing Jake to confront the gravity of the moment. This dance wasn't merely an act for the audience, it was a reflection of their lives, a testament to both their vulnerabilities and strengths. With renewed determination, he accessed an inner reservoir of tenacity and commitment to not only finish the dance, but to make it memorable. Embracing the rhythm, they launched into the final sequence together. Each step reflected the struggles they faced, the silence that followed each difficult day, and the countless moments that could have diminished them. Instead, they soared, fueled by a sense of purpose that eclipsed the insecurities. The audience erupted into applause, their appreciation palpable, yet Jake wasn't done. As the music faded, Jake found himself anchored back in reality, adrenaline coursing through his veins. He glanced at Mia, who beamed with pride, her laughter mingling with the applause. In that moment, he made a decision: this performance was just the beginning. The world had to see not just what they had done, but who they truly were, a father unleashing the latent potential within himself and affirming his daughter's boundless spirit. But as the echoes of applause reverberated against the walls, Jake felt a heavy weight settle into his chest. This was a fleeting moment, and lingering victories might be overshadowed by lingering uncertainties in the days ahead. How would he translate this newfound courage into the mundane realities of their lives? Could he sustain this momentum, or would all of this simply dissolve into just another memory? Yet, amidst these swirling questions, a sense of purpose crystallized in Jake's heart. He would carry this transformation beyond the stage, into his daily routines, into his interactions with the world. They had created a small but defining shift tonight, a step forward on a long journey, but was he, at last, willing to confront the full spectrum of what it meant to embrace his role as both supporter and participant in life? When they waited for the judges to announce winners, excitement electrified the air. But it was an unexpected voice that disrupted his reflections. A woman, radiant and authoritative, leaned towards him, her eyes sparkling with intrigue. "You danced beautifully," she said, a hint of something more in her expression. It was a chance encounter, but Jake felt a rush akin to what he had experienced on stage. Little did he know that this moment would compel him into a realm of possibility he never dared to explore, a crossroads that could redefine everything he understood about his life, his daughter, and his identity. What lay ahead, Jake couldn't fully grasp, but one truth resonated: the performance had ignited something profound within him, and the next step unfolded in front of him like the next beat in a dance. Would he embrace this unexpected connection, or would the shadows of his past pull him back into a familiar darkness? Jake's heart raced, the vibrations from the applause still echoing in his chest as he faced the woman who had boldly approached him. Her professional demeanor hinted at a world Jake had yet to explore, a world that broke beyond the walls of his existing life. He sensed an opportunity but felt a mixture of fear and excitement gnawing at his insides. "What is your name?" she asked, the brightness of her smile catching him off guard. "I'm Nicole," she continued, extending a hand. "Jake," he responded, shaking her hand with a mix of confidence and apprehension. It wasn't just the stage that had changed for him. This encounter felt poised on the edge of a transformational moment. "Jake, you exuded such passion out there," she said, her eyes analyzing him, delving deeper into his essence. "Have you ever thought of pursuing dance professionally?" The idea struck him like an unexpected gust of wind. Professionally? He had only ever let dancing be a sanctuary, a retreat from the cacophony of everyday life and the burdens he carried. "I haven't really considered it. I mean, I'm just a janitor." Nicole's brow knitted for a moment before she spoke again, a tone of challenge edging her voice. "You're so much more than your title. You just showed everyone that. Imagine bringing that energy to a larger stage, inspiring not only audiences but also your daughter." Her words reverberated with the undertones of his dance. Could he redefine himself? Could he embrace this potential to inspire Mia further by shifting his own narrative? But lurking behind that was the specter of self-doubt, a voice whispering accusations. "Who do you think you are?" Jake took a breath, then countered, "But what if it doesn't work out? What if I fail?" Failure is just a stepping stone in growth, Jake. You've already succeeded tonight. Why not leverage that into something even greater? Her eyes sparkled with a conviction that stirred the embers of determination inside him. Her unwavering encouragement ignited something imperfect yet beautiful within him, an urge to confront failure, redefine failure, and test the limits of what he could be. What would it mean to pursue the unpursued? He envisioned moments of doubt, of relentless rejection, and yet a fire within pushed back. Just as quickly as he had entertained those aspirations, the doubts flooded back. Was he really ready to step outside his comfort zone? Do you have any plans for the future? Nicole's inquiry shifted his focus back to reality, compelling him to confront his own ambitions. The fear of unfulfilled potential was now eclipsed by a desperate desire to chase something meaningful. No plans, honestly, he admitted, the truth hanging heavy. Just trying to keep things steady for Mia. Stability is important, but so is ambition, she replied, her voice steady. You might have a chance to broaden your horizon. I'm connected with a dance program that focuses on community outreach. They're looking for enthusiastic instructors. It's part-time, flexible, a perfect way for you to explore your passion and provide for Mia. The prospect took root in his mind, battling back the disquiet of uncertainty. Teaching. He pictured sharing his love for dance with others, guiding them through movements that had once saved him. His chest felt tight with possibility. Think about it, Jake. The only thing stopping you is you. Don't let fear keep you grounded when the sky is so wide open, Nicole encouraged, her tone both nurturing and motivating. As he stood there, grappling with the reality of his life, Jake felt a shift within, a heartbeat of courage. What could be a step into the light of possibility? Do you want me to help you with the application? She asked, leaning slightly closer to him, the air around them electric with ambition and desire. He nodded slowly, a plan forming as he internalized her encouragement, a plan to not only expand his horizons but also to infuse Mia's life with the lessons he was about to learn. But before he could speak, the applause from the audience surged once more, drawing him momentarily back, teasing the remnants of his performance. He basked in that afterglow, but a new tension gripped him. This was just the beginning. Jake's resolve solidified with each passing moment. Had he decided to step forward, to explore this path, perhaps he could reshape their lives, his identity, what it meant to be a father, a professional, and a dancer. Though as the night progressed, Jake felt an undertow of anxiety creeping in. He yearned to embrace the unknown, yet the shadows of the past whispered their doubts. How far was he willing to venture? And as he contemplated the weight of his decision, he found himself standing at the edge of a new chapter, poised between fear and aspiration. What awaited him on the other side was a mystery. He felt drawn to an urge to risk everything in the name of becoming something more. Little did he know, the stakes were about to rise significantly, and the journey into transformation would necessitate a confrontation deeper than he ever expected. Would he truly have the courage to move forward, or would hesitation once again clip his wings? With the air buzzed with excitement and an undercurrent of doubt, Jake departed the venue, his thoughts racing in tandem with the thrumming energy of the crowd that still lingered in the background. Mia's face flashed in his mind, her bright smile so often lighting his path even on the darkest days. What would she think? This potential opportunity tore at the known boundaries of his life, both terrifying and exhilarating. The embarrassment of being merely a janitor wrestled with a burgeoning aspiration to teach dance, a stark contrast that set his heart thumping not just from excitement but fear. In those fleeting moments as he walked to his car, he contemplated the duality of his identity. He fished out his phone, scrolling through messages but firmly bypassing any that spoke of mundane chores or the weariness of daily life. He wanted to escape that, if only for a moment, and lean into the uncertainty of what he might become. He recalled Nicole's words, "The only thing stopping you is you." They echoed in the back of his mind, tinged with a sense of urgency. Arriving home, a familiar sense of normalcy enveloped him. He settled onto the well-worn couch that had seen countless evenings filled with Mia's laughter and warm movie nights. The stillness was deafening, almost oppressive, yet it urged him to act. He felt the pull to cast away the shackles of routine life and step onto a path laced with risk and passion. Jake's brow furrowed as he looked over the blank application Nicole had texted him earlier. He imagined teaching dance. That fear of failing, would it linger, vying for his attention? Or could he transform it into fuel? The tightness in his chest skated dangerously close to panic. Yet, deep down, he also sensed an inner strength, a flicker of ambition ignited by Nicole's encouragement. He stood, pacing the small living room, feeling trapped between two versions of himself. The janitor who dutifully kept the spaces clean, ensuring order in his world, and the dancer who sought to channel his passion into something greater. Mia needs to see that I'm pursuing my dreams, he whispered to himself, gathering courage from her imagined presence. Every day, he imparted life lessons, the importance of hard work and resilience, yet had he himself been living a life of stagnation? Sure, it was safe, but safety had bred resignation in him. After a few moments of deliberation, Jake grabbed a pen and let it hover over the application. The weight of the instant felt monumental. This single action could become a pivot point for him. Glancing at a framed photo of Mia on the side table, his breath caught. Could he stand in front of her one day, someone who really went for what they believed in, instead of just surviving? The ticking of the clock reminded him of the fleeting nature of time, an urgency descending upon him. He wrote his name at the top of the application, Jake. With a firm resolve, he began filling it out, pouring his heart onto the paper. His experiences as a janitor melted away, replacing mundane logistical tasks with thoughts of creativity, encouragement, and the very essence of dance. In that moment, he wasn't merely a janitor, he was someone striving for something greater. As he finally penned the last sentence, he felt lighter, as though the burden of his old life was quaking, making space for the man he envisioned becoming. He tucked the application away, feeling the stirrings of excitement forge a new path forward. Yet the realization struck him cold, freezing his exhilaration with a sudden clarity. What if the program rejected him? Doubt reared its ugly head again, whispering its dark predictions, and a storm of anxiety swirled in his gut. The possibility of an impending rejection loomed, and he hesitated. Would he genuinely be able to face education and empowerment even in the shadow of potential failure? The turning point was brimming closer, teetering on the precipice of his resolve. As the night settled around him, Jake understood that whether he stood to gain or lose, the true victory lay in his choice to chase this dream. Moving beyond the dark whispers of self-doubt meant confronting the inevitable uncertainty. Yet it felt like stepping towards a fierce truth, one that would shape the narrative of his life and redefine his relationship with Mia. With new energy in his heart, he whispered to the darkness, I may fail, but I refuse to stay immobilized any longer. Tomorrow would bring the challenge, his need to face both the desires ahead and an inner demon that already threatened to encroach. Would he take that leap into the unknown, or would he allow fear to dictate his path? The tension mingled in both excitement and dread, illuminating the battle Jake now faced, to embrace audacity in seeking the passions that had been calling him forth. What awaited him could either be a stepping stone to growth or the shackles of disappointment. One thing was certain, this was but the threshold of his transformation, and nowhere in sight was the comfort of mediocrity. The morning sun peeked through the window, casting a warm glow over the clutter of Jake's small living room. The application lingered in his mind like an unaddressed puzzle. While he had bravely filled it out, doubts continued to whisper along the edges of his resolve. What if he wasn't good enough? What if his past overshadowed his potential? He took a deep breath, sliding his hands through his hair, trying to dispel the remnants of lingering uncertainty. Each question buzzed like gnats, trivial yet irritating and persistent. It was a sunny Saturday, the kind Mia would have loved. Would she have taken him to the park for an impromptu dance session, twirling under the sun until their laughter floated like music in the air? Jake forced himself to think practically, setting aside the nostalgic reverie. His phone vibrated, startling him. Nicole's name lit up the screen. She'd been a beacon, urging him onward. He opened the message, feeling a rush of excitement and fear mingle within him again. Hey Jake. Are you still up for that dance class on Monday? Just checking in to see if you decided to apply. He hesitated before responding. The prospect of attending the class tangled with his fears of not measuring up. Both the excitement of learning and the fear of standing in front of skilled dancers threatened to swim around him like an overwhelming tide. Instead of typing an answer, he pulled on his sneakers. Each step toward the studio felt like a mini showdown with himself. Would he be able to dance freely again without the weight of his janitorial life trailing behind him? He opened the door to the outside world, the air fresh with the promise of a new day, but still haunted by uncertainties. The studio loomed in front of him, an inviting structure boasting energy and movement. As he stepped inside, the scent of hardwood floors and mirrored walls embraced him. Music piped through the speakers, drawing him in deeper. Each note was a tantalizing reminder of the passion he wished to reclaim. The session started with stretching, a simple enough task, yet even that felt daunting. There were faces around him, varying degrees of experience etched on their profiles. Jake felt a bead of sweat form on his brow, his heart racing in sync with the pulse of the music. Everyone else seemed fluid, confident they belonged there, and he was an intruder. The only thing stopping you is you, he whispered, stealing strength from Nicole's words. He began to move, tentatively at first, imitating the steps being demonstrated at the front. The instructor, a vibrant woman exuding talent, approached him with an encouraging nod. "You've got potential," she said. "Just let loose. Dance like there's no one watching." As the music shifted, he felt a flicker of that long-forgotten freedom coursing through his veins. He closed his eyes, letting the rhythm transport him, a sharp contrast to the spiraling thoughts that had darted through his mind just moments ago. A smile broke across his face, a hint of joy blossoming amidst the apprehension. The class shifted through various styles, and as they began to move into a quickened tempo, Jake surprised himself with his adaptability. His body learned to breathe with the music, shedding the day's apprehension with each controlled spin and abrupt stop. The raw emotion infused his movements, and it felt exhilarating, liberating the chaos of life peeled away, revealing his vibrant core. Yet with every moment of triumph came the sharper pangs of reality. What if he couldn't keep up? What if, despite this fleeting moment of clarity, the life of a janitor swallowed him whole? The conflict swelled within him like an encroaching storm. After class, a knot formed in his stomach as he approached the instructor, still flushed with exhilaration but muddled by doubt. I was wondering if you have any advice for someone hoping to teach." A knowing smile crossed her lips, lightening the weight of apprehension. "Teaching isn't about perfection, it's about connection. Dance is as much about emotions as it is about movements. Focus on sharing your passion, your story. That's what will truly resonate with your students." Her words ignited something inside him, breathing life into the flicker of hope he had cautiously nurtured. Maybe, just maybe, he had something valuable to share. As he walked home, a mix of exhilaration and uncertainty danced in his chest. The need for validation pulled him one way while a spark of self-belief yanked him in another. He reached for his phone, wanting to fire a message off to Nicole, but paused. Standing at a crossroads, Jake felt the weight of his future press down on him. How could he turn his experiences into teachable moments? What kind of teacher could he even be? He took a moment, feeling the tension mount. Was he truly ready to face the risk of rejection again? What awaited him wasn't just a journey of self-discovery but a potential confrontation with an identity he struggled to embrace. In that moment, clarity shattered through the fog. He needed to decide. Would he continue to let doubt dictate his choices, or would he embrace the uncertainty and chase the passion that had revived him today? As he locked his door behind him, a whisper of determination resurfaced in his heart: "I will pursue my dreams, no matter what." The next step pulled him toward a thrilling unknown, pregnant with both possibility and risk. Would he dare to turn his dreams into reality, or would the shadows of fear continue to dictate his path? The echoes of uncertainty lingered, drawing him toward the impending challenge waiting just around the corner. Jake woke up the next morning with the echo of the instructor's words still resonating in his mind. focus on sharing your passion. It was a guiding light amidst the heavy fog of his insecurities. He had never considered himself a teacher, let alone someone who could inspire a young dancer. Yet the more he pondered it, the more the idea sparked a flicker of interest. What if he could bridge the gap between his past and the future he yearned for? He had spent years mopping floors, cleaning up after others, but he knew what it felt like to move, how to let music weave through him and create something transient yet beautiful. As he prepared breakfast, he felt a strange sense of purpose. Today would mark the beginning of his exploration into teaching. He pulled out a pen and paper, jotting down everything that came to mind about why dance mattered to him. The rhythm of the kitchen filled with the sounds of sizzling eggs and clinking plates, each noise a reminder that he was creating, producing, and not just existing. Later, he went to the local park, his mind teeming with ideas on how to approach teaching dance. It was a safe place for him, where he could observe and think without the weight of judgment. Watching children play, he sensed a lightness around them, an imaginative freedom. He started to jot notes about ways he could incorporate movement into lessons meant to encourage expression and creativity, perhaps even targeting those who found joy in the dance but had barriers that made it challenging to take that leap. An unexpected confrontation arose when he noticed a group of kids dancing, imitating moves they had seen in music videos. One girl, slightly apart from the others, struggled to keep up. She wore a prosthetic leg but didn't let it define her. The determination etched on her face struck a chord deep within him. He felt pulled toward her, compelled to ask if he could join them. "Can you show me your moves?" Jake felt a rush of vulnerability but also the thrill of connecting. The girl blinked, realizing he was serious. Slowly, she nodded. He started with simple steps, mirroring her hesitations, engaging in a silent dialogue of movements. As they laughed together, the other kids joined in, curious about this unlikely duo. Jake stepped into the role of teacher not from a place of superiority, but a space embodying shared experience. He taught them how to dance seamlessly with an open heart, pointing out that everyone had their own rhythm, a unique story to tell through movement. As laughter erupted and the music met their energy, Jake realized this was what the instructor meant about connection. They were not just executing steps, they were sharing joy, fueling one another's passion. Each twirl and stomp released any residual self-doubt buried beneath his past. Feeling invigorated, he returned home, the sights, sounds, and laughter still swirling around in his mind. He flipped open his laptop, nervous but excited, and drafted a proposal for a community class focused on inclusivity and expression in dance. He typed rapidly, the glow of the screen illuminating his determination. What he didn't know was whether he could replicate the energy and connection he felt in the park when faced with adults or those more skilled. And as he pressed send, the pang of doubt crept back. Was he really ready to take on this responsibility? That evening, he received a reply from the local community center, inviting him in to discuss his proposal. They saw potential in his unique approach and passionate perspective. He felt a surge of exhilaration, mixed with fear. What if they saw through his facade? As he sat on the edge of his bed, contemplating the meeting ahead, anticipation coursed through him. Was he ready to dive deeper into this newfound identity? The stakes felt higher, but so did the potential for discovery. Turning off the light, he whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning." With the door to his next step in sight, Jake began to realize that it was not just about teaching dance but about redefining how he viewed his own past. Could he allow himself to embrace this new path, even in the face of uncertainty? Would he dare to dance toward a future built on connection rather than fear? Tomorrow could change everything, but first, he had to show up. Would this be his moment of truth, or would he let it slip away into the shadows once more? The day of the meeting arrived, tinged with both excitement and dread. Jake could feel the constriction in his chest as he approached the community center, the enormity of his decision weighing heavily. What if they didn't see his vision? What if they dismissed him as just another dreamer? These thoughts churned in his head, doubts more familiar than the polished wood floors he'd mopped for years. He took a deep breath, hoping to steady himself, and stepped inside, the scent of fresh paint and wood mingling in the air. The reception area buzzed with activity as families passed by, engaged in conversations about classes and schedules. For a moment, he felt like an outsider, an imposter in the sea of vibrant interactions. But then, he recalled the girl in the park, the spark of joy in her eyes as they danced together. With resolve, he walked to the office, rehearsing his pitch mentally. When he entered, the program director, a poised woman with sharp features, greeted him with a cordial smile. She motioned for him to take a seat as she opened his proposal on her laptop. Her expression shifted from curiosity to interest as she read through his ideas. Jake started to speak, outlining his vision for the class, how he wanted to create an inclusive environment where everyone could express themselves through dance, regardless of their backgrounds or abilities. The words flowed as he painted a picture of open hearts, joy, and connectedness. He spoke of workshops that encouraged creativity and exploration. He could envision the laughter echoing around the room already. But as he watched her reaction, he noticed a hint of skepticism clouding her eyes. "You have some compelling ideas here, Jake. However, you must understand that not everyone will find vulnerability in their movement. Not every adult carries the same joy they had as a child." Her words cut deeper than he expected. "What if your approach fails to resonate with a more skilled audience or someone who has built emotional walls? It's a risk." Instinctively, he leaned forward, desperation creeping into his voice. "I'm aware of the risks, but I believe every person has a story tethered to their body. Dance isn't merely technique, it's expressing that story. I want to provide a safe space where those can emerge, regardless of their past experiences with dance." As he spoke, he felt the passion erupt within him, not just for the dance itself but for the importance of understanding and accepting everyone's journey. The more he revealed his core beliefs, the more energized he became. The words propelled him forward, almost beyond his own reality. Yet, a flicker of self-doubt remained. Would they really buy into his vision? Would they see the struggle and meaning behind it? What if they couldn't connect with his sincerity? "Interesting," she finally said, pursing her lips, her gaze locked on him as though she were peering into his very soul. "If we give you a chance, how will you measure success? What defines it for you?" Jake paused, struck by the weight of the question. This wasn't just about producing a dance class, it was about truly making an impact. "Success would be seeing participants share their personal stories," he replied slowly. "It's about the moments where they feel free enough to express themselves, even if it's through a single step. It's about the laughter, the progression, the unlikely connections." The tension in the air transformed, now charged with an unspoken understanding. "All right, Jake," she said, leaning back in her chair, her expression softening. "Let us give it a trial run. I want to see what you can do." A wave of relief surged through him, but it was short-lived, quickly replaced by a grappling sense of urgency. He had been given a chance, but now, how would he ensure that he didn't let it slip away? As he left the center, Jake's heart raced with excitement and an underlying terror. The weight of expectation had increased dramatically. The real work was only just beginning, and he now had to prove that his words could transform into reality. Would he be able to guide others through their insecurities, just as he barely began to navigate his own? Standing outside, the cool breeze wrapped around him, but he could feel the fire to prove himself igniting within. Soon, the moment would come when he had to face the true challenge of crafting a space where vulnerability thrived. How would he confront his growing fears about being enough for the people who needed him to lead them? He wasn't just teaching dance anymore, he was sculpting lives. As he walked away, determination surged through him, but uncertainty loomed. Would he rise to meet this call, or would the shadows of doubt drag him back to where he started? The following weeks passed in a whirlwind of activity and anticipation. Jake poured every ounce of his energy into preparing for the trial class. Each evening, his modest apartment morphed into a studio. The worn-out carpet became his stage, and the cramped space managed to transform under the glow of a single light bulb. He would crank up the music, an eclectic mix of classical, pop, and world sounds, and let his body explore movements that he envisioned sharing with others. Yet, for every stride he took toward confidence, shadows of doubt crept ever closer. What if the participants laughed at him? What if he failed to connect with them? He shuffled through these questions repeatedly, scrutinizing his every move in the mirror, searching for the unworthiness that clung to him, just as dust lingered on the floors he had mopped for years. Despite the chaos within, a flicker of determination sparked each time he thought about the little girl in the park. He recalled her laughter, how unguarded she had been as they danced amid the swaying trees. If she could find joy in the dance, then so could others. Arriving early on the day of the trial class, Jake paced outside, nerves thrumming in his chest. Whispers of what-ifs taunted him as he watched participants file in, individuals of various ages, sizes, and abilities. The timid waves of greeting were quickly washed away in the tide of uncertainty swelling within him. He sensed the weight of countless expectations resting on his shoulders. Could he be the leader they needed him to be? Could he create that magical space for expression and discovery? As he looked at their faces, a mix of hope and skepticism, he recognized a kindred vulnerability within each one. He was not alone in this journey. Jake began the class with a spoken intention, a thread of sincerity woven into his words. "This isn't just about dance," he said, voice steadying as he embraced the growing momentum within him. "It's about discovering who we are together, letting our bodies share our stories, our truths." As he guided them through gentle warm-up movements, Jake felt a shift. Laughter began to wrap around the space, tentative but real. He encouraged participants to reflect on their own stories instead of mimicking perfect technique. The group gradually began to find comfort within themselves. Each hesitant step was a triumph, each laughter a testament to overcoming personal barriers. He watched as faces transformed, melting expressions of fear into sparks of connection. This was the very magic he had hoped for. Yet, amid the joy, his inner critic clung desperately. What if it was not enough for everyone? The fear of failing to reach someone festered, and he found himself hesitating when he saw the man standing at the back of the room, arms crossed, a frown etched across his brow. Gritting his teeth, Jake approached, sincerity flooding his voice. "What is holding you back? Is there something specific you'd like to share with us?" The man met his gaze, finally uncrossing his arms with a sigh. "I just don't think I fit in here," he muttered. "What do I know about expressing feelings?" That question sliced into Jake's resolve. "Then let us redefine what fitting in means together," he replied. "It's about letting go of your inhibitions, not proving yourself worthy before you even start." In that moment, Jake realized his own growth. He was not just a teacher but also a student of vulnerability. He did not have to have all the answers, he simply needed to embrace the shared experience of exploration alongside them. As the class continued, exhilarating breakthroughs unfolded, and each participant began to leave their mark. They strayed from the constraints of perfection, allowing themselves to be unguarded. Yet, even amidst this success, Jake's mind remained tormented by the lurking specter of doubt. The class concluded, and applause erupted. Yet the applause that felt joyous also held an underlying urgency. Jake's heart swelled with pride, but the uncertainty lingered like the last note of a song fading, but not entirely gone. "Thank you." But was it enough? He wondered, the thought creeping in uninvited. Before he could fully gather his thoughts, the program director stepped forward, her expression unreadable. "Jake," she began, leveling her gaze at him, "we need to talk about how to take this further." The weight of her words sent tremors through his core. What awaited him now? Would he be ready for the next step? How would he confront the reality of leading a larger group, all while keeping his newfound clarity from slipping away? The night closed in around him as he knew he was teetering on the brink of something monumental, yet unknown. What revelations might he encounter next? As Jake stood before the program director, a sense of trepidation surged through him like an electric current. The past few weeks had taught him one vital lesson: stepping into the unknown brought with it a tapestry of possibility and fear intertwined. His heart raced, an echo of the apprehension he felt just before stepping onto that stage with Mia. "I want to commend you on today's class," she began, her eyes sparkling with something akin to pride. Not only did you inspire engagement, but you created an atmosphere where everyone felt free to express themselves. Jake's chest swelled with a mixture of happiness and astonishment. Her recognition encapsulated everything he had striven for, yet the nagging self-doubt echoed louder in his mind. Was this initial success a fluke? Would they believe in his vision the way he believed in them? The director continued, her tone shifting to a more serious inflection. We want you to lead a series of workshops moving forward. Your ability to connect with students is crucial, and we believe you can help foster this sense of inclusivity we want to emphasize. Her words hung in the air, overwhelming him. Lead workshops. The enormity of it stuffed an amalgamation of excitement and anxiety into his gut. This was both an opportunity and a test. Could he embody everything he dreamed to achieve? Had he truly transformed from the janitor to a dance instructor, a beacon of light for others? I thank you, Jake managed to utter, the gravity of the moment grounding him. It was surreal, yet he felt an exhilarating sense of weight. He was shifting from mere survival, from conducting life in the shadows, to standing at the forefront of potential and responsibility. In the days that followed, Jake immersed himself in creating a curriculum that embodied his vision, a fusion of movement, expression, and acceptance, drawing from every lesson he had lived. He envisioned a space where participants could explore vulnerability through dance, no matter their history or ability. Yet, as he drafted lesson plans, doubts resurfaced, flirting at the edge of his consciousness. Would it resonate? Would he be able to maintain this profound sense of connection with emerging dancers? One late afternoon, gazing out at the park, he recalled that young girl, and the joy they shared while dancing. She had inspired him, a living testament that transformation was possible. He needed to embody that spirit as he shaped the lives of others. The first official workshop he led was an unvarnished success. Students who had previously experienced fear began to lunge toward the light of expression. Laughter echoed through the studio, blooming like petals in warm sunlight. The defensive walls others carried began to crumble, revealing raw, unfiltered delight. Amidst this brightness, however, various challenges emerged. One participant struggled to integrate, often falling behind, encapsulated in isolation. Jake felt a pang of frustration creeping in. Could he truly nurture every soul? Yet, recalling his experience with the girl from the park reignited something within him. He approached this participant after class, offering encouragement in a genuine tone. Hey, your presence is essential to our group, but I can see you might feel out of place. Dance is all about finding your own rhythm. The student looked surprised, her defenses lowering bit by bit. I just don't think I'm good enough, she confessed, eyes downcast, shrouded in the heavy curtains of self-doubt. Jake smiled gently. Good enough is just another version of perfect. The only thing that matters while you dance is how you express yourself. Let us find your rhythm together. In that moment, he recognized the transformative power of connection yet again. It wasn't merely about cultivating skills, it was fostering resilience, authenticity, and understanding. As the weeks flowed into a blur of classes and workshops, Jake's own inner journey was evolving dramatically. His confidence blossomed, woven together with genuine fulfillment each time his participants took a leap of faith. Each success story became his own, knitting their journeys into one magnificent quilt of triumph. By the time he was given the chance to share his outlook on inclusivity at a local art summit, he stood on stage, an entirely different man than the one who had nervously faced the talent show in the past. Today, he cherished all he achieved, standing tall before an audience. It's not about how perfect your moves are, it's about finding freedom within expression, he shared, beaming with pride as he gazed at the faces nodding in agreement. The realization struck him heavily. He was no longer just a support system for others, he was a part of a larger narrative of growth and hope, a narrative woven from his own struggles and victories, crafting a legacy for Mia to someday embrace. The applause that followed was more than just validation, it was a resounding endorsement of his journey. In that moment, Jake felt a rush of affirmation, a profound sense of accomplishment that filled every crevice of his being. He had triumphed over self-doubt, shattering the chains of his past, and established himself as a confident dance instructor, paving a vibrant path for both himself and Mia. Together, they would navigate the world, armed with resilience and the knowledge that life, like dance, was about learning to meet each moment with courage, joy, and connection that ran deeper than surface perfection. Now standing on the precipice of a new chapter, one drenched in vulnerability, fulfillment, and immense purpose, Jake would continue to inspire, teach, and redefine not only himself but the lives of every individual who stepped into his dance studio. As he prepared to return home, the weight of pride and triumph would ride alongside him, knowing that this was not just the beginning of his journey into teaching, it was the ache of transformation reverberating through him. And the adventure was far from over, it was merely an exhilarating overture to a life he could celebrate. You need to subscribe now to this channel to keep up with exclusive emotional stories that inspire transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and ensure these uplifting messages reach others who need to hear them. Comment your reactions and theories about Jake's incredible journey. Let's discuss. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need this empowerment in their lives. Don't wait even one more second.